What's up, guys? Sunday car vlog. Just basically recapping things that happened over the week on my channel. And yeah, I figured, I just sit in the car and vlog about it. But anyways, let's start off with the first thing I wanted to touch base with, and that was the video A List. And I think some people got that kind of confused, but it's not y'all's fault. It's actually my fault because I didn't actually clarify what the video was about in title, or in maybe I haven't clarified it in the description. If anyone reads the description, I didn't clarify it there. But basically, that video that I made in mind was I gathered all the negative feedback comments that I found on multiple videos about the Stylo 3,
so as I stated in the opening of this
made a
video,
list about it. That's really all it was.
And these are the top complaints.
Yeah, these are things that people are saying. And you know what? Like, you can verify. Go through some videos. Go through Paultech's videos, and you'll find some of the comments there where people will actually say, like, it should have had 32 gigabytes, or you should have had this, should have had that. It's just putting it out there, like some of the most popular negative feedback comments on the Stylo 3. Because let's just face it, every device that comes out is not going to be like perfect. It's not going to be handed down from the gods, given to man, to be overly like great or anything like that, so but I did want to kind of like just touch base on that. Some of the stuff that you guys commented on that video that I did about the list. You guys pretty much nail it, man. I appreciate everyone that commented on there and had and gave what they had to say. While we can wish that a certain device came with something, because we are picky when it comes to smartphones and to consumer electronics, we are very picky about those things. Yes, to understand why certain things were left out, or why certain things weren't bumped up so drastically, and to understand things is obviously the price point. The price does play big on it. It's like, you can't build a device that has like 64 gigabytes of RAM, not 64 RAM, 64 gigs of internal storage and 6 gigabytes of RAM, and water resistance, and a 4,500 milliamp hour battery, and a 8 megapixel selfie camera, and a freaking 16 megapixel rear facing camera, NFC and wireless charging, and front firing speakers. Like, we can't build a device like that and then say, okay, we built it, we're going to sell it for $179.99. I mean, of course, the company's going to lose business for all the components that they gotta pay for to construct and build a smartphone. They got to get their residuals back. That's how business is. You don't build something and either break even or lose money on it. You got to make profit. You got to make some gains. So I totally understand why a lot of, especially when it comes to mid-range devices, because again, they're mid-range, they're not flagship, so they're not going to get that kind of attention or risk given to them. They're just there to fill the voids of the prepaid companies and unlock devices for people to use on, of various carriers. So, I mean, totally get it. And yes, a lot of people tend to ignore that aspect of how a smartphone is built, because we're not trying to build a smartphone based on the, the manufacturer's guidelines or bullet points. We're trying to build a smartphone that's a dream smartphone of our dreams, a smartphone that we feel, we would be happy to carry. And I totally get that. So, I mean, I don't knock people for saying it should have had 32 gigs. I don't feel like people are wrong in wanting it to be water resistant, or to have wireless charging, or to be made entirely of like metal and glass, or all metal build. Or I don't knock anyone for that, because we're trying to build, in our mind, we're trying to build a smartphone that we feel is worthy for us, for us individually, not for everyone else, and sure as hell not for what the manufacturers are trying to build it for. But yes, at the end of the day, always got to remember the fact is that it's they set a price point on what they feel like they'll be able to move those units at, so something that they feel is realistic, that consumers are not going to have a problem with, and then they build device to specifications to meet that amount. Now, sometimes they do hit over the mark and they have to charge $20 more than what they were going to charge, sometimes even $40 more. But at the end of the day, to get all those features that we want, it yeah, it would raise the price of the device. And also, they don't give them to you right away because they figured if this is what you're crying for mostly right now, they figured that, okay, to keep you buying their products, maybe the Stylo 4 will be, water resistant and more of a premium build. Maybe the Stylo 4 will have 32 gigs of internal storage and 4 gigabytes of RAM. Maybe it'll have that 16 megapixel rear cam and 8 megapixel front facing cam. I mean, just because it's not on this version of the Stylo doesn't mean that it's not ever going to reach the Stylo. As long as the Stylo is being purchased by consumers, as long as it remains to be a relevant device, it will continue, they will continue to build more generations of it. Um, I feel personally the Stylo 3 is not something I feel is wow. Okay, that's my personal opinion. I don't think the Stylo 3 is a wow. But I do think it's pretty nice though. I mean, some things that, people on Boost Mobile wanted with their stylos is now on this. And that's why I'm okay with it. It didn't wow me in any way where I was like, after seeing the specs, the price, and watching a few videos about the build quality, I didn't feel impressed by it. But I know for the longest time, with the first generation and the second generation, there's always been two different versions. There's oh yeah, high temperature warning. There's sorry about that, but there's always like one version that came to Boost Mobile and then another one that came to Metro PCS. And like, so when Metro got the Stylo 2 Plus with the fingerprint reader and all that other stuff, like, people just went pretty much bananas over it. And it was always that ha 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 ha, hardy hard hard, type attitude. Like, we got fingerprint reader, Boost Mobile didn't get it, So, I'm kind of happy, to look around and be like, okay, it's on an even playing field right now. And, I don't think, I've been trying to look to see if there's going to be a Metro PCS version, and I don't think there's going to be. I think this is it. Like, this is going to be the time where the Stylo 3 is the Stylo 3 on all carriers, which to me is great because that means that, hey, never mind the device specs, now let's talk about network carrier and connectivity, how well it is. I mean, if you have the Stylo 3 on Metro and the Stylo 3 on Boost Mobile with identical specs, then you can really think to yourself and say, okay, now we're going to find out, in different areas across the country, which has the best network connectivity. Because if you have the exact same identical spec phones, there's not really one that can trump the other one. You'd have to basically rely your whole judgment on how you connect to the network. And if people are posting that my LTE sucks, the signal is weak, and the same person, person in that same area goes, I got full bars, on this carrier, then we know. So that's why I always feel like, too, it's like a lot of people were like, well, Metro's better, and in your area, Metro may be better. I always said, like, it always depends on the area that you're in. Over here where I'm at, T-Mobile has very weak signal, so I couldn't rely on Metro or Simple Mobile or anything that relies on T-Mobile signal. Like, it's got to be either Sprint or AT&T that works fine over here. Verizon, of course, dominates this area, but I'm not gonna, go about Verizon or anything like that. So yeah, I just really want to touch base on that and just say, like, yeah, that list basically was made just off of what, like a lot of people commented on the Stylo 3 videos. So in closing, I just want to say, like, you guys have some great good points. I appreciate everyone who commented on that video and left really long comments, and just know that I read them. I read a lot of them, including a couple of other ones that just went back and forth. I read them all. And, I just want to thank you guys for commenting on that video because that was actually pretty awesome. Also, yeah, stay tuned for this week's videos. And that's it for now. So I'm going to go. And thanks for watching this little Sunday car vlog, I guess. It's hot, so I better get out of here. You guys should too. Mahalo for watching. Aloha. I'll talk to you guys later.